So this is an unplanned chat. So I'm going to speak off the cuff and tell you my story regarding the mentorship and the TEFL online teaching. I did my 180-hour TEFL course in COVID, like so many others, because I thought I just never want to get caught again in a situation that I cannot work. And I'm looking for a job that I can do, a retirement style job into my 70s. And I thought that this is what I want to do. I had toyed with the idea for many years. COVID just said, it's time. So I did my course, and then we moved, and I started intermittently making applications with schools, and I just didn't come right. I couldn't get work. I just got rejection after rejection. People would sometimes not give me any reasons. They just say, we're not hiring, or you're not suitable. I thought, oh, I'm in my 50s. I'm never even going to get the money back, that I invested in the course. This is terrible. And I would give up. And then about 3 months later, I'd say, okay, come on, I'm going to try again. And I'd Google top 10 schools or top 10 freelance platforms and just make application after application. Join some platforms like Teacher Record, where they try and find jobs for you. Nothing worked. I just couldn't get work. And I got so despondent, and I pretty much gave up. I did try again. I would pick myself after 3 months and try again. And to no avail. I just could not get work. And then somebody told me about the mentorship program that says a bunch of South African people, and it's so helpful. And I thought, oh, let me try. I was very dubious. I thought, oh, I don't know. Now I'm spending more money and I'm still not going to get work. I'm not convinced. But I joined the program. I thought, I'm just going to stick to it. Let me see. And honestly, it was the best thing I ever did. Within 2 weeks of completing the course, within 2 weeks, I got my first hit on Preply. And then I got 2 students, and then I took a break for Christmas over 9 days. And then from the 1st of January, my schedule just filled up. It was absolutely incredible. I opened it up till like 8 at night, and I just got bookings left, right, and center everywhere. And January has just been incredible. It's my first full month. And my family actually said to me, hey, you cannot be sitting in the office from 10 until 7 at night. I'm just not available suddenly. And so I've had to actually trim my schedule down. And the days where I'm not booked, I try to trim it down to 5 o'clock. I've been so busy. And I'm excited to say that today is the first day that I drew money. I drew $347, which equates to 5,800 Rand. I'm so excited. I've covered all my costs, and I just feel so hopeful, and there's so much potential for the future. Now, I know actually $347 isn't a lot, but remember, I am running a full-time family. I have 2 boys. I have a husband. I'm the maid. I'm the cook. So I don't actually have a lot of time. So I'm squeezing a very tight schedule. If you have a lot of time and you can open up your schedule to say 9 o'clock at night, you'll make double the amount of money. And this is my first month. I'm only on a very low dollar rate. And when you begin on the freelance platforms, they take quite a lot of commission for the newbies. And then as you commit and you do more hours, then your commission lowers and you can raise your price slightly, which I've done because my schedule was just taking off like wildfire. People couldn't find places to book. I have people booking little half-an-hour slots, and then another, so the whole day is back-to-back, no breaks. It's just been a whirlwind ride, absolutely crazy, but I love it. I have students in Israel, in Istanbul. I have someone living in Germany who's from Argentina, someone living in Montreal who's from Brazil. They want new jobs. They're not confident conversing. One of my favorite students is Liliana. She is a professor in Romania, super smart, but cannot speak English. She can academically read it and write it and do research, but she can't converse. So I just love it. I've even got children in Thailand. I absolutely love it. It's the most amazing and rewarding job that I've done. And you're building relationships with people. I've already had my girl in Tel Aviv tell me she's coming to visit me in South Africa. So it's just been fantastic. I'm loving it. And only 1 month in. I've given myself a target as well. By June, I would like to be earning $15 an hour. So just hoping that will come true, but I'm sure that it will. The biggest challenge on the mentorship program definitely was the video. I thought I would never be able to do it. I took about 150 takes. I was changing outfits and it was the wrong colors, and I just could not get it right. So that nearly made me quit, but I pushed on through. So any advice from me to you would be to just persevere, just keep on. It will be worth it. It will. And the biggest thing I learned from the mentorship, well, certainly from Zander, I would say he is so authentic. And if you watch his videos, when he's teaching, it's not really about him. It's about the student. And he just delivers a very real class. And I found that amazing lesson. So when I teach, I just try to be as real as possible. Don't try and be perfect. I don't try and be smart. I just try and deliver a really easy, comfortable, real lesson. And I try to build rapport with my students right from the start. And that was a great little tip that Zander gave us all. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the whole process and the results. And I just wish you all the best from me to you. Zander said a great thing as well. I didn't want to go onto the freelance platforms because when you go onto these sites, you see they've got 12,000 tutors and you think it's impossible. How will I get work? And he said, remember, there's 1.6 million users. So there are students that will be a perfect fit to you. So whatever you bring to the table is perfect. You don't have to try and be anything else because there is a student who needs exactly what you have.
Great. Welcome, everybody. Good evening from my side. My name is Zander Botha. I'll be hosting this session tonight for everyone joining all over South Africa. I'll share a bit more about myself later. I'm a full-time online English teacher. I have been for the past just over 2.5 years. And I'm also the owner and manager of TEFL Online for the continent of Africa. So before we get started, I want to welcome everyone joining us on Zoom. Thank you very much for joining me in the room, so to speak. And then also thank you to everyone watching on Facebook at the moment. You are more than welcome throughout our session to post any questions you may have, maybe any comments, share your experiences with us. We would love to hear from you. If you're watching on Facebook Live, feel free to post it in the comment section just below this video. If you are joining us on Zoom in the Zoom live room, you're more than welcome to use the chat box to post any questions or comments. We will be dedicating the final portion of our session tonight. We'll be dedicating to answering some questions and answers, both people on Facebook as well as the people joining us on Zoom for this specific session. So once again, welcome from my side. Now, just a few sort of house rules before we get started with the actual content of this session. I do want to just mention, as you can also see on the screen right now, we are recording this session. So if you don't want to be a social media star just yet, you're more than welcome to switch off your camera. Please keep your microphone muted as well for the duration of the session until, of course, the Q&A session, where you're more than welcome to either post your questions in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute and ask your question verbally. All right, so with that said, let's get started with our session. So a quick of everything we will be talking about in the session. We will try to keep it as close to about 45 minutes as possible. Now, of course, that will depend on the number of questions we will have throughout the session. So we are more than willing to stay a bit longer for all those who have some additional questions. Now, some of the topics that we will be covering in the session, take note that this is a session to give you a bit of an introduction to what it means to be an online teacher. So if you are in a place where you're considering taking up online teaching, this is the session for you. And also, if you already have your TEFL certificate, but you're still looking for a job, we'll also be speaking to you. And then also for those who are already teaching as online teachers, you will definitely also benefit from our session today. So 4 things we do want to cover in today's session. First of which is how teaching English online works. So we want to give you a bit of an insight into the world of online teaching. A lot of people ask me, what is it like? Is it very similar to a traditional classroom that we've all come to know from school and from university? We want to talk a bit about that. Secondly, we also want to touch on who can become an online English teacher, meaning what kind of background do you need? What kind of skills do you need? We'll touch on that for sure. Thirdly, we'll also talk about how much you can earn from teaching online, which is obviously a very important and relevant question that many people have. And I'll give you very specific numbers in terms of what you can expect to earn as an online teacher. And then last but not least, we'll give you a bit of information as to where to start and how we at TEFL Online can help you launch your career as an online teacher. So who am I? As I mentioned at the beginning of the session, my name is Zander. I've been teaching online for just over 2.5 years. Currently, I'm teaching anywhere from 30 to 50 hours per week, earning a very sustainable income. And also, as I've mentioned, I'm also the owner and manager of TEFL Online for the African continent. Now, just for those out there asking the question whether you can be an online teacher if you haven't taught a single lesson ever in your life, and the short answer would be 100%. My background, I used to be a pastor in full-time ministry prior to becoming an online teacher, and I'm doing so very successfully, and so can you, as you will see in today's session as well. Now, how does teaching online English work? All right. So a lot of people ask me, who will be my students? Will I be teaching children? Will I be teaching adults? What will I be teaching them? And so when we look at the demographic of the kind of student that you will be teaching as an online teacher, In terms of the adult demographic, you're looking at teaching students age 20 all the way to 65 years of age from all different countries, especially obviously those non-English speaking countries. Now, many of these students need to improve their English for academic reasons. They want to maybe study abroad, or they're enrolled for an English course and they need some additional help to navigate through the materials and to actually pass their course at the end of the day. Secondly, a lot of people take online English lessons because or for work-related reasons, meaning they have a position in their company, which is often a multinational company, and they are required to execute some tasks using the English language, and it could be anything from for example, presentations, leading meetings, writing emails, making phone calls, all of those kinds of things. And they need someone like you to help them to execute those tasks more effectively. Thirdly, immigration is another very, very big reason why people, especially adults, take up English learning online, because they are looking to find a job in an English-speaking country. And for that to happen, they need to have a good level of English in order to be allowed into the country and work in and from that country. Another reason would be travel, that a lot of people, especially in the European region, in the Asian region, they just like traveling, and they've probably traveled quite a few times, and they've found that it's quite hard to navigate your way around an airport, in restaurants, things like that, and to really just get around in the countries that they travel to. And they would like someone like you to spend some time with them and help them learn maybe some common phrases they can use while traveling abroad. And then finally, some people are just obsessed with languages. They just love learning different languages as a hobby, and they would like to spend some time with you in conversation because they enjoy learning more about languages, especially also then the English language. So that's a broad overview of the demographic of adult students you will encounter as an online teacher. Moving on to children. So obviously within the world of online teaching, there are the adult group and the children's group. And both of them are equally high in demand, if I can put it like that. You are probably looking at teaching children aged 5 to 18 years old, also for various different reasons. For school, they might be taking some subjects in English. They need you to help them navigate that. One of the biggest reasons that I found for why children want to improve their English is because they are being motivated by their parents. Their parents, being older individuals, have realized that the world is a lot more accessible and open to their children compared to what it used to be when they were younger. And they've realized that one of the most important keys for their children to have access to this international stage, if I can put it like that, is that they would have to speak English. All right. So there is a large segment of the online English teaching market that's focused on teaching children. And so part of your teaching as an online teacher will also have to do with kids. And obviously later on, if you decide and figure out that you prefer teaching adults, it's all up to you whether you want to teach children or adults or both. And then finally, also immigration. So sometimes you would find families where the family is living in an English-speaking country. They have children that are having a hard time making friends and getting around at school. And so they would like you to help them to improve their English, or maybe they're planning on moving overseas and they want their kids also to be more fluent in the English language. All right, so those are sort of the two main age groups you will be working with as an online teacher. Now, moving on to where you will be teaching. So a lot of people are unsure about, like, do I need to find my own students? Do I get a job with an online school? What is the dynamic like in terms of actually landing a job as an online teacher? Now, you have a couple of different platforms or avenues to take as an online teacher, some of which are more accessible and easier to get than others. And probably the easiest way to get started, at least as an online teacher, would be to find a job with an online school or academy, which is something that we help you with in our mentorship program specifically. Now, The dynamic in this avenue is basically you have schools that are established, they have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of students that are enrolled with them, and they need teachers to teach these children. And often what you would find is the owners and the staff working in these schools or academies are not native or fluent English speakers, which means that they can't do the jobs themselves. They need you as a native English speaker to be able to teach their students. Secondly, freelance platforms, the dynamic is slightly different there, as it's basically a marketplace where online teachers meet online English learners. Now, this could sound quite daunting, but this is probably one of the most sustainable avenues to take. It takes a bit longer to get that built up, but again, this is something we help you with in our programs as well, to make sure you create an attractive profile so that when students look at your video, your picture, your profile description, that they would really like to take lessons with you. And here you've got a lot more freedom in terms of your hourly rate and what you earn at the end of the day. Whereas online schools generally tell you this is what we pay our teachers. With freelance platforms, you decide, I'm willing to work for, let's say, $10, $15, $20, $25 per hour with my students. And then the last or final avenue, which is a great avenue, but it's quite tough to get into, is to get your own private students. And here the great thing is you're sort of avoiding all platform commission fees. You can negotiate your fee privately with your student, which really gives you an opportunity to earn a lot more money as an online teacher. Now, moving on to the dynamic of the lessons, which is another question that I get quite often, is what will I be teaching my students? And I think a big misconception that I had before I started teaching online, and a big misconception that a lot of people out there just getting into online teaching have, is that they have this picture where you are the teacher with a tie, formally dressed, with a white or a blackboard behind you, and you're doing most of the teaching and the talking, which couldn't be further from the truth. You will find once you start teaching online that it's a lot more informal. The student is speaking 80% of the time, you're speaking 20% of the time. A lot of these students just have a desire to interact in a conversational way, which means that 80% of your lesson will be dedicated to just conversation about interests the student has, about their job, their hobbies, where they live, their country, the food in their country. So it's really quite informal. And then they just need you in the context of that conversation to provide them with feedback that will help them to correct some of the language errors that they are committing during the conversation. Another reason or another dynamic within your lessons will obviously be grammar. And I have found with a lot of my students that this is sort of many times a secondary reason. They've gone through school, they've been in the very formal academic environment, and they don't want their English learning journey to be similar to what they had at school or in university. So a lot of these students view grammar and learning and studying grammar as merely supportive to their conversation. So if it doesn't enhance their conversation, it's not something that they want to spend a lot of time doing. Thirdly, a lot of working students, adults, of course, approach us as English teachers to help them with specific tasks that they need to execute in their job, such as presentations or meetings or interviews. And they book lessons with you and pay you just to help them to improve their skills and way of executing these tasks using the English language. Then finally, last but definitely not least, is exam preparation. So a lot of students, especially those that fall into the category of people that want to immigrate to English-speaking countries, they are required to pass a basic English exam. And they need help preparing for these exams in order to get access to those countries. And this is what we call, within the world of online teaching, a niche market, where you gain knowledge about exam preparations, the specific exams that your students need to write, and you help them and with your knowledge in order to prepare for that exam and essentially be ready to eventually take and to pass the specific exam they need to pass. So moving on to the classroom, obviously seeing as we are online English teachers. What that means is we need to make use of online video conferencing platforms. And so you would find when you get a job with an online school, many of these schools have their own private online classrooms. And once you've passed through the interview stage and you start onboarding with that specific school, they will provide all the training you need to use their online classroom to interact and teach your students. And then for freelance platforms and obviously for private students, you have a choice of several different conferencing platforms that you can use, whether it be Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, and many of these platforms allow you to choose the one that you are most comfortable with. So it's really not rocket science. You don't have to be a tech junkie in order to be an online teacher. It's quite simple in terms of navigating your way through the online classroom. Now, another question that I often get is, what kind of hours will I be working, seeing as I'll be working with people from all over the world? I've heard a lot of people say, I've heard that you need to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning or stay up late until midnight, which I have never done in my 2.5 years of working as an online teacher. My very earliest class ever has been at 7 a.m. and my latest one ended at 9 p.m. Today, I'm working from 8 a.m. up until 6 p.m., no earlier or no later. And the great thing about the demographics or the regions you'll be working with is that one of the biggest regions you'll be working with as an online teacher is the Asian region. And the great thing about Asia, whether it be Taiwan, Vietnam, Japan, China, they are anywhere from 5 to 7 hours ahead of us, right? Which means that when students maybe come back from work or from school, maybe about 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. their time, if you have a lesson booked at 5 p.m. their time, that means it will, depending on the country, it will be anywhere from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. our time. So it works really, really well with the Asian market. In terms of the European market, for 6 months of the year, they have the exact same time zone as we have. And for the other half of the year, they are 1 hour behind us. So again, it really, really makes it useful for us. It makes it easy for us to teach them as well, because the time zones correlate quite nicely. And seeing as a lot of the European students, especially professional adults, have the opportunity to work remotely, they really like taking lessons during the day in their lunchtime or before that or after that. All right, so no crazy hours are necessary. Now, here are just a few screenshots of some of the lessons that I've recently taught. This one specifically was a group lesson with people, once again, from all over the world. And our topic of discussion, it was just a conversational lesson. We just spoke about flexibility in your job, finding out what everyone is doing in terms of their career, things like that. The next one was with a student from Brazil living in Amsterdam. She's a social media manager, and here we're busy just doing an exercise where she talks me through exactly how she creates content, process the creative process, and all of those kinds of things, which was a lot of fun and very informative. So moving on, here I have a student from Spain. In this specific screenshot, he's busy showing me all the tickets of the concerts he's attended, like Metallica, Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen. So as you can see, it's a very formal environment. This specific individual is a high-level professional in a very, very popular worldwide multinational telecommunications company. And again, he's functioning within that context, and yet his desire is for conversation and correction. So it's quite informal and quite simple as well. And here you would see one of my more rowdy students all the way from Germany. She just introduced her dog to me. We had a lot of fun, laughed a lot, and had some really good conversation. So as you can see, it's really, really simple, a lot of fun. You actually make friends in the process as well. So it's not at all the kind of traditional classroom that we've all become used to in university or at school even. So one very important question that I'm sure a lot of you have in mind and that I've been asked so many times and that I'm very happy to answer is, how much can I earn as an online teacher? Now, there are sort of two answers to this question. You would remember earlier I spoke about getting a job with an online school and then also working on freelance platforms. Now, the earnings from these two different avenues differ, all right? So first, let's look at online school. So when you come into an online school and they offer you a job as someone with no experience whatsoever as an online teacher, you're looking at a starting hourly rate of anywhere from $8 to $10 per hour, which at this point is around about 180 Rand per hour as a teacher with no experience whatsoever. And then if we do the math on that, you will see that if you work 10 hours per week, you can earn just over about 7,000 Rand per month. If you decide to work 20 hours per week, you can earn over 14,000 Rand. And if you decide to work 30 hours per week, you can earn around about 21,000 Rand per month. Now, the median rate for online schools at this point in time is around about $13 US dollars, which is about 230 Rand per hour. Now, if we do the same math and you work 10 hours per week, you're looking at a salary of just below 10,000 Rand a month. If you're working 20 hours per week, just below 19,000 Rand per month. And if you're working 30 hours per week, you're looking at around about 28,000 Rand per month in terms of salary. So as you can see, within the South African context, with a very weak Rand and a strong dollar, it's really, really beneficial. And I believe personally that online English teaching is one of the golden opportunities for those of us living in South Africa. Now, if we look at the second avenue in terms of earnings on freelance platforms, you will notice that it's quite a bit higher than or compared to earnings with online schools. Now, as I mentioned, freelance platforms, you have the opportunity to set your own hourly rate. At this point in time, the average hourly rate for teachers on these platforms is about 17.5 US dollars, which is about 320 Rand per hour with the current exchange rate. If you decide to work 10 hours per week, you're looking at a salary of about 12,000 Rand per month. If you're working 20 hours per week, you're looking at 25,000 Rand a month. And if you're working 30 hours per week, you're looking at 38,000 Rand per month. So once again, very, very good earning potential for us living in South Africa. A statistic from, I think this was about 1.5 years or 2 years ago, showed that the average earnings for South Africans, specifically as online teachers, ranged from 15,000 to 28,000 Rand per month. Again, this was 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So by this time, I'm sure it's quite a bit higher than that in 2023, where we're at right now. So again, for us as South Africans, really, really a golden opportunity for us to earn a very sustainable income with considering the cost of living in South Africa. Now, here are just a few screenshots of some of the teachers that have recently gone through our programs, how they're doing on only one specific freelance platform. This is Angus. He, at the moment, well, this was actually taken 2 months ago. So he, at the time, he had 21 active students and taught just short of 290 lessons in total. Here we have Desi, which is an absolute hard worker. She has 46 active students and have taught over 1,200 lessons after completing our program. Then we have Pepe, who has 23 active students, taught just short of 1,400 lessons. And as you can see here, her current hourly rate is at 19 US dollars, which is, again, quite a good income for us in South Africa. Alison, 14 active students, taught over 300 lessons, and her hourly rate currently is $25 an hour. Again, you can see she has quite a few specializations, which again is something that enables you to charge more per hour when you can assist students with exam preparation or more specialized kind of English or functions. Then Deline, which is the lady that shared her story at the beginning of this session, she has 19 active students and taught about 170 lessons thus far. She does this part-time. Okay, so it's not a full-time job for her, but she's earning more than enough to have a comfortable lifestyle. Quibus is also someone who's done our program with 12 active students, having taught 568 lessons, and he's doing it full-time at the moment. And then last but not least, this is my profile. After about 2.5 years, 11 active students, 1,700 lessons, and my current hourly rate is at $20 on this specific platform. All right, so as we're sort of going to start wrapping up the session, just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat box if you're joining us on Zoom. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, feel free to post the questions in the comment section or the comment section. We will have a time at the end to respond to some questions and comments. So please feel free to do so at any point. Great. Now, who can become an online English teacher? A lot of people are very scared if they don't have a teaching background. But really, what it all boils down to is anyone who speaks English fluently, anyone who enjoys working with people, and anyone who has a laptop or a computer with a webcam and an internet connection. If that fits your description, then you are eligible to become an online English teacher. You don't need any high-level qualifications or significant experience for you to become an online English teacher. All right, we have helped people from literally all backgrounds. We have helped lawyers, nurses, teachers, real estate agents, financial professionals, sales people, occupational therapists, pastors, secretaries, IT, I mean, the list just goes on and on. We've seen it all, and we've been able to successfully help people from these backgrounds getting to either full-time or part-time English teaching. So if they can do it, surely you can do it as well. Now, where do you start? If you want to make the decision to either take up online teaching, either part-time or full-time, here's what you need to do. So step number one is to get your TEFL certificate, which is the international minimum requirement for any person that wants to teach English online, okay? Secondly would be to create your resume and introduction video, meaning to get everything ready that you need before you start applying, which is step number three, is you send in your applications to online schools and freelance platforms, and then finally you start your career as an online teacher, earning money from teaching online. Now, what we can help you with is basically all of the above and more. So, excuse me, the first step, which is the TEFL certificate, is something that we provide, all right? We have accreditation from an accreditation body called CPD, which is internationally recognized. And whether you want to go overseas and teach in any country, or if you want to teach online to students from any country, this recognition or accreditation will be more than sufficient for you to do so. So we do provide you with the TEFL certificate. Secondly, we also provide you with what we call a mentorship program. Something we've noticed with a lot of other TEFL providers online is that many of them only give you step number one, and then they let you on your way and tell you good luck in finding a job. Now, we specifically created the mentorship program to bridge the gap from someone who now has a TEFL certificate to someone that wants to earn money from teaching online. And the mentorship program has been immensely successful. We've had between 90 and 95% success rate of taking people from having the certificate to finding jobs and earning money from teaching online, right? And that program specifically is included in most of our teacher training bundles. But as you would see in a few minutes, we also offer this for someone who maybe got their TEFL certificate with a different provider, and you now need help finding a job. You can enroll for that program specifically or individually. Thirdly, we offer you with a resource library, meaning once you start teaching, you wouldn't need to create your own lesson materials. We have quite a significant resource library that we give you free access to if you enroll for any of our online teacher training programs. Then finally, something that we pride ourselves in is the fact that we offer lifetime support to all the candidates that completed any of our teacher training programs. All right. So this is something that is really useful because you've got about a community of about 150 to 200 other teachers from all over the world that can advise you, that can help you to overcome certain challenges and to share some tips and tricks and resources on that specific community. Now, the TEFL certificate, the actual course, is something that's also very useful, especially for those people that don't have a teaching background whatsoever. So a lot of people tell me that they're afraid, that they have no idea how to teach a new language, how to teach grammar or speaking or listening or reading or writing. You don't have to worry about those things at all. These are things that we teach you during your TEFL course. So basically everything that you feel like you don't have is what we give you in our training programs, as they are focused on how to teach a new language, how to teach grammar, speaking, listening, reading, and writing, and then how to create effective lesson plans, how to test and evaluate your students' progress. We help you with everything you need in terms of use in the classroom. Now, in terms of the programs that we offer, so I noticed in the poll that we ran earlier in the session that quite a few of you are thinking about getting into online teaching, meaning you've done nothing yet, you don't have a certificate, you've not taken the first steps yet. And if that's you, these are the 3 programs that we offer specifically for you. Now, the budget option, which is the standard 120-hour online teacher training bundle for $2,999, this includes your TEFL certificate, your entire course, and it includes a DIY version of the mentorship program that I spoke about earlier, which is aimed at helping you get ready to find a job. And you also receive references from us or referrals from us to specific schools as well as freelance platforms. All right. Now, the downside of that program, only downside, is that you don't have the one-on-one live Zoom sessions where I look at your background, your experience, your CV, and I help you to correct that up to a point where a school would easily accept you into their organization. All right. The second program, which is one of our most popular options, is the professional 120-hour online teacher training bundle for $3,999. What this includes is also your TEFL qualification, the certificate, and then it includes the live guided version of the mentorship program, which means you get onto Zoom with me and 3 other people, and I look at your background, your specific situation, and I help you to position yourself well on a personal level, face-to-face communicating with you. Then the third and sort of more premium option is the advanced 150-hour online teacher training bundle, which is 4,999 Rand. And what that includes is your TEFL certificate, the live guided mentorship program on Zoom, and then it also includes a 30-hour practicum. And this one I always recommend for people who are really terrified of the online classroom, meaning you have no idea what to expect. You don't want to really get into teaching someone that's paying you to teach them if you don't have a little bit of experience before that. And this specific program includes a 30-hour practicum that gives you the opportunity to teach people or real-life students from all over the world. The students know you are a teacher in training. They don't pay for the lesson, so it's a very safe and comfortable environment for you to get comfortable with what it means to be a teacher in an online classroom and to gain some experience. And obviously, this experience is also something you can put on your CV when you submit your applications to online schools, showing that you at least have some online teaching experience. So these courses are for those people who have not taken any steps toward becoming an online teacher yet. You're still thinking about it. These 3 options are for you. Now, for those people who already have their TEFL certificates, which in the poll I saw, there were also quite a few people who already have the TEFL certificates, but now they need help finding jobs. Okay, we've got 3 options for you in terms of the mentorship, the career mentorship programs. The first one at 1,500 Rand is the DIY version, meaning you'll be watching recordings on your own, doing all the action points on your own, but you still do get the list of referrals to schools and companies currently hiring, right? The second option is the professional career mentorship program, which gives you the live guided mentorship program where you're live with me on a Zoom, and I guide you through all the steps personally, and I give you more personal feedback as well. And then what this also includes is, earlier you would remember that I spoke about the exam preparation, meaning for students that need to immigrate and they need to pass an exam, which is a bit of a niche market, allowing you to charge more per hour. And this option of the professional career mentorship program also includes a training course that will give you, let me say, the credibility to help students prepare for those exams. So even if you are someone that you're teaching already and you want to take your income to the next level, having a specialization or a niche such as exam preparation could help you do exactly that. Then the third and final option, which is the premium option for those people that already have TEFL certificates, is the Advanced Career Mentorship Program, which includes your live guided mentorship program. It includes the 30-hour practicum, meaning where you can gain experience teaching real-life students online. And then it also includes one of the specialist courses, which will enable you to take your hourly rate to the next level. Okay. Now, finally, for those people who are already teaching as online teachers, and you're looking to find a way to up your income, okay, to charge more per hour. As I mentioned, one of the easiest ways to do that is to develop a niche. And one of the easiest niches to develop would be exam preparation. Now, we offer 3 different exam preparation courses. All 3 of these exams are equally popular and important for students. So we have the IELTS, we have the TOEFL, and we have the Cambridge assessment. So these courses are all focused on helping you understand these exams and then giving you the tools you will need to help one of your students prepare for the exam before they take the exam. And as I said, this gives you basically the right to charge a lot more per hour as an online teacher. Now, with that said, seeing as in South Africa, we're heading into spring, we've got a bit of a promotion for all of you watching either on Zoom or on Facebook Live. We're going to give you 10% off of any of our programs or courses for the next 7 days. So if you enroll for any of our courses before midnight next week, the 5th of September, which is a Tuesday, you get 10% off of any of our courses if you use the promo code promo23 when you enroll for your course. All right, so you're welcome to take a screenshot of this. If you're planning on enrolling for one of our courses, you can get 10% off if you do so within the next 7 days. Now, something that I also want to say is we do also offer some personalized mentorship, all right, which is not in the form of a program. It's a lot more customized. If you're an online teacher or you've already got your TEFL certificate and you need a little bit extra help to get started, you're also welcome to book some sessions with me for me to guide you through that in a more personal setting as well. Now, we have also different payment methods. We do realize that times are tough. So we do have, you can make an EFT, a direct bank transfer, when you purchase your course. You can also pay via credit card. And then if you're on a budget and you don't have the cash right now, we also do offer a payment plan for our courses, which is split up into 3 different payments. First payment happens at enrollment, which is 50% of your course fees. The second payment happens a month later at 25% of the fees. And the third and final payment happens another month after that at another 25% of your course fees, with a 7% interest added to your entire course fees for those people that can't afford to enroll in the course at the moment, but you'd like to have a payment plan. We definitely do offer that. All right, now, just before we get to the Q&A section, and I do want to encourage you, if you have not yet posted your question in the chat, if you're joining us on Zoom, or in the comment section, if you're watching on Facebook, please do so now, and we will address those questions in just a few seconds. So if you would like to get in touch with me after this session, you're welcome to visit our website that's on screen. You can send me an email as well, or you can contact me privately on that phone number, either via WhatsApp or give me a phone call, whatever you need. Okay. So with that said, we're going to jump into some questions. So I see we do have a few questions in the chat. I see Zama raised her hand. So Zama, you're welcome to unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question.
Hi, Xander, and thank you for allowing me into the Zoom. So I wanted to ask, I already have a TEFL certificate and I already have a Bachelor of Education degree, and I'm currently teaching right now, but I haven't been exposed to teaching online. So I feel like I need some guidance to that platform because I really am lost when it comes to the teaching online platform.
Yeah, very good question. Thank you very much for that, Zama. And this is a question we get quite often, especially from teachers that are currently working with schools. So what I would recommend, first of all, is that you enroll for one of our mentorship programs, because that's exactly focused on someone in your situation. You've got your TEFL certificate, you have teaching experience, but you need some help bridging the gap between where you are right now and where you would like to be as an online teacher. Now, what I would also say is we have quite a lot of teachers coming to us, coming through our programs, and the feedback that I keep getting from them is, wow, when I used to work in a traditional school, it was really hard work. Preparation, extracurricular activities, managing the discipline in a classroom of 20, 30, 40 kids is quite hard. And they've actually find online teaching to be extremely freeing for them because the preparation is very little. When you work for an online school, I work for a few at the moment, I spend probably about 3 to 5 minutes preparing for an online English lesson with kids, specifically with a traditional online school. So the preparation time is very limited, and many times, or most of the time, schools tell you, this is your student, this is your lesson, just teach it. You don't have to think about evaluating students afterwards, conducting or facilitating exams. So it's quite a freeing experience. And I do believe if you decide to step into online teaching, your bachelor's in education will obviously help you a lot experientially in the classroom. And the fact that you already have experience teaching in the traditional sense will also look very good on your CV or resume. And we will take all that in the mentorship program. I will be sitting with you and looking at your experience, helping you putting that into the right words, using the right words on your resume, in your introduction video, and then setting you up to make that transition. And this is something you can even do part-time. So obviously it's very risky to quit one job that you have for one that you could have. So I always recommend to people, especially if you're a teacher and you maybe get off at 2, 3, or 4 p.m. in the afternoons, you've got 2 or 3 hours left every day to teach. And that's a great way for you to get started. And then at some point, most people reach a point where they go, my extra hours for online teaching is filled up now. I'm earning quite a good income here. Now I need to make the decision. Do I want to do this full time, which means I'll have to quit my job and go over, which is partly what I did. Or do I just want to keep that as sort of a side hustle and an extra income? So you've got many options, and I would recommend that you join our mentorship program for us to be able to help you to just make that transition very smoothly and effective. Okay.
Okay. I also wanted to ask if I want to hence you said I should contact you. How should I contact you?
So I will go ahead and put my contact details on the screen again right now. So there you can find my email address and my phone number. So you're welcome to drop me an email or a WhatsApp, and we can quickly go back and forth, and I could just give you some more information as to the right course for you in this specific situation. Great. Happy, Zama? Hope that answers your question. All right. Good. Let's quickly look at some questions in the chat on Zoom. Just a reminder, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to comment in the comment section, and we'll address some of those questions as well. But here I see we have a question from Mamelo saying, please post the Facebook page link to move there for the Q&A session. Mamelo, you can also ask questions here in the chat, so you don't have to go to Zoom. I see, Mamelo, you are online. Do you have a question at this point? you're welcome to unmute yourself if you do.
Hi, sorry, no, Xander. I just didn't want to miss out on the conversation because I'm really interested. So I'm following everything. I don't really have a specific question.
No worries.
Thank
If you
you.
have a question later on, feel free to let me know. All right.
Okay.
I see here Anthony asks, do you need to declare your income for pay as you earn? All right. Great question, Anthony. I will give a disclaimer that I'm not a tax professional, but I can speak from my experience. And so I have someone specifically that handles my tax things. So basically, in a nutshell, you would need to be registered as a provisional taxpayer, which means that you only pay tax on how much you earn. Now, the incredible thing about being an online teacher in South Africa in terms of paying taxes is there are so many things you can deduct from taxes because you're working from home. For example, in my home, I use one of my spare rooms to work from, which makes up about 10 to 15% of my entire surface area of my house, which means I can deduct 10 to 15% of my rent from taxable income. I can deduct 10 to 15% of my electricity bill, my water bill, my cleaning bill. All my internet costs are deducted from my taxable income. Any money that I spend on any equipment for online teaching, I can deduct that from my taxable income as well. So it's really, really nice, but you do need to declare your taxable income to SARS, and then also you would submit a provisional tax record or something like that, just to indicate to them, this is what I got in, but this is what I had to spend to do the job that I'm doing, which is very favorable for us living in South Africa under the current tax laws. Okay. Jenny Fraser asks, how many hours do you suggest you spend daily doing the 120-hour course? Okay, so good question, Jenny. So it really depends on you. So it is a 120-hour course, which means that if you do your course full-time, meaning you spend 40 hours a week on your course, you'll be done in 3 weeks. And we've had people finishing their courses in 3 weeks, meaning you get your certificate after 3 weeks. Now, for those people who are doing it part-time, it's entirely up to you in terms of how much time you have available to spend on this. We do put a maximum of 6 months. So you need to finish your course within 6 months. But again, that's plenty of time. If you spend 1 hour a day, you would do it in 4 months. Okay, so we do give you enough time. It's a self-study course, so you can do it at your own pace. There are no sort of active online engagements. That only starts once you've done your TEFL certificate and you start the mentorship program or the practicum. Then those are time specific. But as for the 120-hour TEFL course, it's not time specific. The only time restraint we put on that is the maximum of 6 months that you need to complete it in. I hope that sufficiently answers your question. Anyone else with a question? Feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself, and you're welcome to ask the question directly as well. I'm going to give it a few more seconds if anyone else has a question.
Hi, Zenda, it's Zama again.
Yes, go ahead, Zama.
I wanted to ask, like, in my situation, facing currently the load shedding pandemic here in South Africa, like laptop wise, where I'm currently staying, I'm renting, and we do not have a backup generator. Is that going to be like a major problem in like the online teaching, like, you know, a thing that I want to like venture on? Or is it gonna be like, I don't know, is it gonna be a setback, or I don't know, I'm lost?
It's another very good question, Zama. So this is obviously a reality for us in South Africa, but it's not a reality that should stop you from going into online teaching. So there are a few things that you can do, right? So what I used to do early on in my career as an online teacher, when I didn't have money to buy a backup power system, what I did is I just made sure I kept an eye on the load shedding schedules, okay? Meaning then my availability that I gave to my schools and to the freelance platforms, you can change that on almost a daily basis, right? So if you're seeing that maybe in 2 days you'll have load shedding between 10 a.m. and 12, then you know you shouldn't avail yourself in those times. Now, sometimes it does happen that you availed yourself, you got a booking, and then the load shedding schedule changed and you have load shedding at that point. What I used to do is, because my computer at the time gave me around about 2.5, 3 hours worth of battery life, I just created a Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone and I did it that way. Something else that I also did is based on the planning, if I knew we had load shedding at a specific time, I would travel to in-laws or friends or my wife's office, and I would work directly from there, knowing that I wouldn't be affected by load shedding. But the sort of the best way to get around this is to eventually, if you don't have the cash right now, to eventually spend some money on a backup system. And this sounds more expensive than it is. So I bought, I think it was last year, I bought a UPS, which is not really used for as a backup power system. It's just a system used to go from the power cuts, and then it needs to go over to a generator. So just for that small gap in between. But this specific UPS gives me about 2 to 3, I've at times even had 4 hours just running my Wi-Fi on the UPS, which is more than sufficient for me to get through load shedding. And I think I paid 2,200 Rand for that specific UPS, and I don't really need anything more at this point in time. So there are many different solutions you can use. It just really depends on your budget and how much money you're willing to spend at this point in time. Okay, we have another question here from Mumtaz. Says, hi Zander, I have the 120-hour TEFL certificate and TOEFL certificate. Excellent. Would you advise that I take the advanced program 4,500 or the professional career program? So here's what I would tell you, Mumtaz. The 4,500 Rand program would give you the mentorship program, the live version, which I think is going to be very useful for you. And it will give you the practicum, which is, as I mentioned, some practical experience teaching actual students. Now, I always tell people that's optional. It's really based on how you feel, how confident you feel. So if you're really worried and really stressed out about going into the online classroom for the first time, I would say the practicum is a must, which I would then advise you to take the 4,500 option. But if you feel fairly okay, you're not that anxious to enter the online classroom for the first time, I think the professional career program would be more than enough for you. Also, because then you get a second specialist course. With that, I see you already have the TOEFL certificate, which is great, but then you can always add maybe the IELTS or the Cambridge on top of that. If you don't want to do another exam preparation course, we do offer the mentorship as a standalone for 2,000 Rand. So you can just shoot me an email or a WhatsApp and just tell me which one you would like to do. And then if you would choose to do the standalone mentorship program, then I could just send you the link for that. And then you don't have to pay the extra money to get another specialist course. But again, if you would like to have that, you're more than welcome to do it. So I hope I answered your question, Mumtaz. All right, folks, we're getting closer to 1 hour session. I don't want us to go over 1 hour session. So if there are any final questions, I think we have time for about one more question. Please either unmute yourself, pop it in the chat. I don't see any questions yet on Facebook. You still have some time, but let's give it a few more seconds for any final questions, and then we will wrap up our session. Okay. Seems like there are no other questions. Then just as a reminder, then if you remember any questions after our session, please take a screenshot of the contact information on the screen. You're more than welcome to contact me. I'd be happy to correspond with you and answer any other questions. And then finally, just a reminder of our spring promotion. If you enroll in any of our courses before next week, Tuesday at midnight, you get 10% off using the promo code promo23. Alessandre says, thank you, very informative. You're more than welcome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. All right, everyone. Then finally, thank you so much for joining us on this session. Really appreciate your time. I wish you all a very, very good week, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.